it's NiKesha and welcome to the kitchen of Milk and Honey. Today we're going to make a sour cream pound cake. If you've never made a cake from scratch, don't be scared. I promise you, this is the one that you want to start with, and I'll make sure everyone thinks that you're the best baker ever. Let's get started. Now for our ingredients, we need 1.5 cups of unsalted butter. That's the equivalent of like 3 sticks of butter. 8 ounces of sour cream, 3 cups of white granulated sugar, 6 large eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I have a variety of extracts here. I'll explain that in detail later. And then we need 3 cups of cake flour. I'm going to use my favorite bundt pan, which is this anniversary pan from Williams Sonoma. It's a 15 cup capacity, and I'm going to spray that with Baker's Joy, and this spray really helps release my cakes from the pan so very easily. So you'll need a mixer. As you can see here, I'm using my favorite stand mixer by KitchenAid. You can use any type of mixer, so if all you have is a handheld mixer, use it. It works just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and cream this butter up. So I did make sure that all of my ingredients that came from the fridge, I set those out and let them come to room temperature. So for instance, this butter, that's why it's so easy for it to cream, because it has been softened and set out at room temperature. So I do that for my butter, my sour cream, as well as my eggs. So next I'm gonna go ahead and add the sour cream and get that all creamed in with the butter. So I beat the butter and the sour cream and cream it together for about 3 minutes, and then I scrape the bowl and I start adding half of the sugar. I want to make sure I get this all nice and fluffy. Next, I'm going to add 3 of my 6 eggs. Now, with the addition of each egg, I make sure that it's completely beaten before I add the next egg. Now I'm going to add the remainder of my sugar and get that all nice and beaten. I'm going to add that 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. To add some additional flavor, I'm going to add this optional extract mixture of 1/2 teaspoon of coconut, butter, almond, and lemon extracts. Now we're going to go ahead and add those additional 3 eggs and making sure that we beat and mix it in really good after each addition of the egg. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and get the bowl all scraped down and make sure that all of those ingredients are well combined. Now I add my cake flour, and I prefer to add the cake flour and mix it in by hand at the beginning, just to prevent overworking the cake batter and creating a drier cake. No one likes a dry pound cake. So I finished adding all of the cake flour, and it comes to this thick consistency, which looks yummy, but I do finish it off with one good mix on the stand mixer just to make sure everything's combined. Now let's get this batter in the pan. Now remember, we sprayed this with our Baker's Joy spray to keep it from sticking. Now I'm going to slowly pour that into the pan. So after I have it all nice and neat in the pan, I like to drop it on the countertop a few times and then give the pan a little shake. And this really just gets rid of any air bubbles that may be in the batter. Now I'll place my cake in a preheated 350-degree oven to bake for 1.5 hours. Do not open the door until the cake is done, because opening and closing the oven door while it's baking can cause your cake to fall. So after 1.5 hours, you should have this golden brown cake. I like to let my cake sit out on a wire rack for about 10 minutes before I release it from the pan. So now I just put the wire rack on top of the pan, flip the pan over, and pull the pan off of the cake. And look how easy the pan removed from the cake. I love a Baker's Joy. You guys have to use it anytime you bake cakes. It makes it so simple to remove the cake from the pan. So you want to store your pound cake in an airtight container. I'm going to put mine on this cake plate and just put it on the dolly, lay the cake on top of there, and simple as that. So of course you got to go ahead and have a slice or two. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this up. Now one of the things that you can do with your cake is make these in advance. So let's say you're coming up on a holiday, you can go ahead and bake them and wrap them really good in saran wrap and foil, freeze them, and then just thaw them out whenever you're ready to use it. But pound cake is so good. You can eat it with ice cream, top it with some fruit, whatever you really want to do, you can do it with this pound cake. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe for sour cream pound cake. Once again, thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen of Milk and Honey. I'm so glad you're my friends. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.